Yeah, Mark. I bet this is just another one of your favourites, is it? Well, you know what? Actually, yes, it is. Problem? Hello, lovely people of YouTube, and welcome back to Mark on Life and Ghibli Time! I've got to stop doing that. Thank you so much to everybody who watched last week's episode, which was Arrietty. If you haven't seen that episode or that film, I will leave a link in the description below and at the end of this video. This week we are covering, yes, another one of my favourites. It is an absolutely wonderful little movie, From Up on Poppy Hill. From Up on Poppy Hill came out on the 16th of July 2011. It wasn't as popular as some previous ones. I think it came third in the Japanese market because there were some big contenders. But considering it was Goro Miyazaki's second film, it actually did pretty well. The Japanese title of this one is Kokuriku Zakakara, which sort of means, well, it actually means from Coquelicot Hill, which is kind of odd. Coquelicot is the French term. There's quite a lot of French terms in this one for the poppy, the red poppy. So it sort of means from Poppy Hill, not from up on Poppy Hill. I know I'm being a bit exact here, but it's a pretty close title. As I said before, director is Goro Miyazaki, or Miyazaki Jr. as we can call him. And it was written, the screenplay was written by Miyazaki Sr., but as with a lot of Ghiblis, it came from source material, a serial manga in the 80s of the same name by Tetsuro Sayama and Chizuru Takahashi. Really good English dub on this one. Absolute wealth of well-known talent on this one. I'm not even going to attempt to remember them. I have got them written down. We've got people like Gillian Anderson, Beau Bridges, Jamie Lee Curtis, Bruce Dern, Christina Hendricks, Ron Howard, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Noth, Anton Yelchin. That last one is particularly close to my heart because we obviously lost Anton Yelchin fairly recently. An absolutely fantastic actor. So a brilliant cast for this one. And yeah, really good dub. So what happens in From Up on Poppy Hill? Well, we're set in 1963. We know this because they're prepping for the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo. And we are set in Yokohama, down by the port. Our female lead in this one is a 16-year-old girl called Umi Matsuzaki. And she lives in Yokohama, and she runs a boarding house called Poppy Manor, or Coquelicot Manor. Her father died in the Korean War, and her mum is away studying medicine in America. So she runs this boarding house. So she's very diligent, very hardworking, sort of well-behaved type of person. And she lives with some other family and all the boarding guests, but she's having to take care of a lot of stuff herself. Meanwhile, our other young lead is a young boy called Shun Kazama, who is a writer at the school newspaper. And unbeknownst to Umi, he writes a little article about her because she puts flags out outside her on the garden for the ships that go by in the port. And she doesn't know that she finds this out later. And after a bad impression at school where he does this stunt to impress everybody, she comes to one of the central locations that we have in this film, which is the Quartier Latin, or the Latin Quarter Club building, which is the clubhouse for the school. And so she comes there to see him at the school newspaper. And he asks her to help out, do some sort of scribing and just helping out making the paper. And I want to talk about this location actually because, as you know by now, Studio Ghibli is particularly good at setting the scene, the physical scene of where people are. And no different here. Even though it's quite a small, charming little story, this clubhouse, I love it so much. It's this huge, 5-story building, cluttered with 100 different things. There are little clubs and hidey holes and shacks in every corner. In that corner is the archaeology club, in that corner is the philosophy club, in that corner is the science club, or whatever. It's fantastic. It's such a nice little environment, and it sums up the film completely. Shun tries to get the whole school together because they're planning to demolish the building, the clubhouse. At the same time, Shun and Umi are starting to get a little bit closer, starting to build a friendship and realise they actually quite like each other. However, when he is at her house, he sees a photograph and learns that they may have some kind of connection, and so he becomes quite distant from her, and eventually realizes that there is a good possibility that she may be brother and sister, and that's obviously going to be a bit of a difficulty. Meanwhile, the Board of Education send notice that they are going to go ahead with demolishing the building. So they have meetings and rallies, and eventually they decide that 3 of them will go to the Board of Education and make their case. So Shun, Umi, and this other boy Shiro go to Tokyo to make their case to save the clubhouse. And so the head of the Board of Education agrees to come to Yokohama to visit. Doesn't say anything else, he'll just say, yes, okay, tomorrow I'm going to come and visit your clubhouse and see how it is. And I'm going to leave it there. What happens to the clubhouse? Do they manage to save it? Is it just ready to be demolished and the kids will have to move on with their life? Who can say? What about Shun and Umi? Are they related? Can they be just friends? Can they be more? What's the truth about their family and their connection? I'm not going to tell you any of it. I'm going to leave it all to you. So do I recommend From Up on Poppy Hill? Yes, of course, absolutely I do. You might have noticed in these few videos a string of absolutely fantastic movies. Not that they're all great, but Ponyo, Arrietty and From Up on Poppy Hill are all some of my favourites. They're such wonderful, charming little movies. And this, I think, cements Goro Miyazaki Jr. as a great director. Tales from Earthsea is a good film, but it's not for everybody. It's sort of stuck between charming and an epic and doesn't really know what it is. And it can be a little bit long and stale. Whereas this is so much more what I identify as Studio Ghibli. It's a really fantastic little film. Great characters. All the kids in their different clubs have their own really sort of characters sorted out, have real personality. The relationships between them, the friendships and even more are very subtle. A lot of the times in anime, particularly with like a loving relationship between kids in school, it's very dramatic. You know, somebody looks at somebody and it's like, oh, I can't believe it. This is a lot more subtle, a lot more charming, it's beautifully written, beautifully done. Animation is great. Blu-ray is fantastic, really good transfer, lots of extras. So I couldn't recommend it highly enough. From Up on Poppy Hill, definitely go watch it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give me a big thumbs up. Have you seen From Up on Poppy Hill? What did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments and we can discuss. Share this video any way you want and subscribe to my channel to see more. Next week we're going to cover another great movie and the first Ghibli movie I ever saw in the cinema, which is The Wind Rises. I'm on all the usual social media platforms, as you know by now. Twitter and Instagram and all that kind of stuff are Mark Joseph Actor, so go follow me there now. Click over here somewhere to see last week's episode, which was Arrietty, and click over here somewhere to see my movie-based comedy series, Retrospectives. So I will see all you lovely people right back here next week for The Wind Rises, but for now, from me, Mark on Life and GhibliTime, I will speak to you soon.